I'd like to welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboys. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Marv.
Cowboy Nation, how are y'all doing today, man? How is everybody doing today, man? How is everybody doing today, man? This is a show that, man, I'm so excited about this show. Really excited about this show. Really excited about what's going on in Cowboy Nation, man. Really excited about where we at as a football team. I'm really excited about the the that we got to the point, man. We got not the OTAs, but the training camp started. We have a great show for you today, as you may have seen earlier up there. We got a great show for you today. We got a show today that we're gonna, do. I'm not a technical guy, but we're gonna still try to do this technical stuff, and we're gonna listen some to the interviews at DallasCowboys.com when they get off the field. I got some things I want to say about these interviews that's coming out that we are having. Um, got some things I want to say about these interviews. This is our show we're gonna have today, man. This is where we're gonna be at. This is the show we're gonna have today. We're gonna talk about, man. We're gonna talk about is this culture, is this new culture starting to form? Is the new culture starting to form? We're gonna look at some of these players' interviews, and we're gonna see if we have what and how I always said about a culture. A culture is when a coach tries to get everybody to buy in, and when you know that you're buying in, when you know that you know your program or your organization or your team, when everybody's bought in, you start to hear the same way people talk and they answer questions the same way from the top of even from the top of the organization all the way to the bottom. You could go to some trainers and you ask them a question and they hint to a slogan or they sound in a certain way that they sound. They talk about certain characteristics you talk about as a team. And we're starting to hear that a little bit from the Cowboys. We're starting to hear the word competition. We're starting to hear we starting to hear that this Cowboy team is excited about working harder than they worked before. All these things were what I think were things that was addressed when the coaches did a evaluation of themselves going into last year. See, you could do an evaluation of yourself, and just like you do an evaluation of the players. A lot of people don't understand when you go and you do a evaluation. Not only do we talked about this in a previous show when we talked about exit interviews. When I talked about exit interviews being very important for returning players that's going to be a part of this football program, this football team. Because in that exit interview, you're given an interview that the coaches see from a full view about things that they may have not, and they talk to you all year long with it. But there's stuff that they think you need to work on. It's not always technique stuff. Sometimes it's concentration type stuff. Sometimes it's about getting yourself together so you can be more a part of the team aspect. You can focus in more. There's some things in that exit interview that they go over. And also, there's some exit interview that goes with assistant coaches that are coming back. And then the head coach also has to take a self-evaluation of his year. I've said this time and time ago. Again, Schottenheimer is going in his second year of a head coaching job. He's been coaching for 20 years. He's been around a great legendary coach most of his young life with his father. All that's good and dandy, but you don't know until you put the match on. That's what I was told, and I had to learn that. You don't know until you put the hat on of being the guy. And being the guy, you got to formulate things to be your way. And what we're starting to hear is stuff starting to start his way. And as I always said, when you're a head coach, your first hires are not going to be always the best hires. That you're not going to just start this thing and say, oh, I hired the right people, the perfect staff right off the bat. That's usually don't happen. You got to go through some trial and error, but hopefully you hire good enough staff that be able to get you the way you need to go. So again, there are some cultural things that we're hearing in these interviews that I like. And I think again, after all the stuff we're talking about, out of all the people talking about player transaction, uh, getting players, culture, and how we go about our business is going to pay more dividends than anything else. Because I believe we have the talent. But getting it to perform at a consistent level, that's a task. And you could bring in better talent into here. But if the culture of making sure you are focused and your expectations is be consistent, you cannot bring someone else in and they try to set a culture if it's not set already. They can enhance the culture you have. They can't set the culture. Let me say that again. Players can't set the culture. They can enhance, they can help push it. They can't set it. I had a conversation the other day when people said Charles Haley set the culture when he came to win that. No, he didn't. Jimmy Johnson had a culture of hard work. And if you remember, him and Jimmy Johnson had a run in early on. Because Jimmy had to make sure that Charles, even though Charles, who was Charles, had to understand who was still in charge. That's great. Charles did come in and point out some things, but Charles came into a room in Dallas that was loaded. Loaded. And I would say this point blank. We might have been in a championship game without Charles. That's how loaded we were. I'm just saying, I'm not saying Charles was not a vital part, but there's a reason that Charles was in Dallas. Some people say the reason why he was in Dallas is because San Francisco got tired of his antics. If you remember this, and see, a lot of Cowboy fans don't want to talk about this. Charles was not only traded because they felt his antics. I don't think they could have dealt with that but they felt Charles was damaged goods. If you remember, if any of y'all was around when they went through this, Charles missed a lot of games with the Dallas Cowboys because of back injuries. Matter of fact, it went all the way to the point where he had to have back surgery. 49ers thought Charles had done his best years. And then the rest of the years were going to be downhill. But Charles came to a place that was young, that didn't need him to play 16 games at a MVP level like he did at San Francisco. They needed his wisdom and for him to show up in certain moments and to show how to sacrifice, which he did. That's why his numbers were never off the charts. His numbers were great at San Francisco when he was MVP. But they thought that the back injuries were going to come a little harder. but he was at a team with a great Jim Jeffcoat. Go check the stats of how Jim Jeffcoat pressure rates and sacks when Jim Jeffcoat played on a part-time basis, off the charts. And if you look at them, they're better than Charles if you look at per play. But he fit a role. That's the greatness of Charles Haley. But again, anytime you start trading a big MVP person like that, there's a reason. And that team is not doing it just because, oh, they feel like salary. There's a reason. So there was a reason other than his antics. And yes, it hurt Charles Haley down the stretch. And that back really got bad in his later part of the years. But he played through it. But he was playing with a great team that had a lot of guys that had fit great roles. And that was, he could felt that he could do his thing. He didn't have to do all things. Great fit for us. So when I look at these interviews, I'm starting to see guys feeling their roles. One of the other things that I've noticed in these interviews, and you're going to hear this because I did the Schottenheimer interview yesterday, and I did, looked at it 2 days ago when I was talking about a lot of the stuff was similar to what I had said pre-training camp. There's a big thing about team unity and togetherness. Again, I believe that was a statement to Schottenheimer last year that there was a disconnect with. All of these things I'm talking about are what we call intangible properties that sometimes are way more than physical property. When you listen to the great teams, if you listen to New England, you listen to the Seattle team, and you listen to a lot of teams, they keep talking about playing football the right way. They keep talking about how unified they are. In this great game of football, the greatest team sport ever, I could get a B talent, and you can have A talent. If my B talent is together, we'll bust your ass 9 out of 10 times because the level of talent differential is very minimal. Everybody can tell you that. Every football analyst tell you that. There's a very small difference with how you go about and how they fit together is very important. So, like I always said, we got this team is learning that is about fit, and they're learning about togetherness. I remember last year, a lot of people talked about it last year, talking about Matt Eberflus. And I said something about Matt Eberflus that I didn't like him, how his urgency of how he attacked things. But I did say this. There was no buy-in. You're going to hear something when we do the interview of Pickens, and you're going to hear something in that interview that I thought was very interesting. When guys start talking about the defensive guys are together and they feel like everybody's together, and you get a feeling that was not last year. I keep saying, as I said on the live streams last year, the team looked like they played with no confidence on the defense. And where no confidence come from? No confidence comes from lack of continuity. When you have lack of continuity, you have no confidence in each other. You can't play for each other, and then you not been on the field together enough to build confidence. And as I always say, Coach Marv's slogan: if there's no buy-in by defense, if there's no buy-in, you cannot defend. If there's no buy-in on defense, you can't defend. When you're playing defensive football, all the other guys got to be bought in. And when they are bought in together and they move together, which is a reactionary type of defense is reactionary, it gets to a point where you can look in the eyes and they can ball themselves out. Remember these things, people, because as this defense started to play better, when I think it's going to play well, when it starts to play better, you're going to hear people talk about buy-in. You're going to hear people talk about sacrifice. You're going to hear people talk about roles. You're going to hear about doing your job. You're going to hear about playing for each other. You're going to hear about those type things. And it's going to permeate through every interview. I've said it again, and I've said it 1,000 times. If y'all want this defense to be better, this defense is going to be, if they were 32 last year, just because they're all of them are healthy, day one is going to move us up to top 15. Just that, just continuity purposes alone, going to move you up 15 spots. This team got talent. You had your leaders in the room all summer long. Your Clarks, your Quentin Williams, all that had time to rub off. And believe it, people, when young people come around and they see leaders, it permeates their skin. And they start talking their life. They start sacrificing their life. It's there. You just got to listen. Now, it's hard for everybody to see stuff because we only see highlights. I don't really look at that highlights. I see some things. I look at highlights. Right now, I know the foundation of what we're building is have to be trust and the right mentality. Because some dog days is coming. Because when you start putting on pads, sometimes you're going to meet some adversity because you put on pads and some people going to beat you with those pads. Then, do you still buckle down into your level of trust and you stay the course of the plan? That's the next level that this team of culture that we got to find. Are we really bought in to deal with adversity and stay the course? Believe in it. Even when it fails, believe in it. That's the new thing that I'm gonna see. And the coach Marv gonna tell you when I see it. I'm gonna tell you when I see it. Right now, we're in it. Can't really see nothing in showing the pants and shorts. But I like the situation where we're going. The last thing before we get to the interviews, and I want to make sure I say this. I want to make sure that I say this. And I would love for everybody to hone in when I say this. Please like and subscribe and please share. But I got something I really want to say. And this is for I believe this is our Dallas Cowboy media in Oxnard. And I'm gonna say this, and I put it, and I hope our content creators understand what I'm saying here. When you're in preparation for a season, and you got your players out there working hard, sweating, putting in their work, focusing on right now, coming off the field after doing a practice. Training camp has started. This year it started. When you got reporters that got to ask a question about what somebody else making contract wise, what the hell we got here going on? And we wonder about our cowboy community that we fail when things get tight. Because our mind is on something else. I'll say it again. There has never been a contract that won a battle on the field. Long as I played, what you had in your pocket ain't never had anything to do when we lined up and that ball was snapped. Now, I ain't said I won all of them, But if I lost, it wasn't because of what you had in your pocket. It's because you beat me. If this is the off season, understand. If we were doing a general interview, understand. But when we come off the field from working hard as a unit and trying to get this team started at the beginning of training camp, and the only thing you can ask is about questions about the contract structure in the NFL and your position and other people's money, you're trying to start fires. And you are the enemy. I'm telling you before, watch the questions some of these people ask. And you'll find the imposters. Believe it or not, this coaching staff see the imposters. They know the guys that ain't really about them winning, but about storylines. That has nothing to do with winning. That's about storylines. And now that you ask every veteran player, that's what you ask. These guys are fit into the grind of trying to win. They're doing something that they're trying to love the rest of they love. They're at work, they're trying to get to the point of a Super Bowl. Yes, they answer the questions, what they're supposed to. But I'm waiting on the player to say, I don't know nothing about that. Only thing I'm thinking about is how we gonna get better today. Whatever somebody else making that, hey, I'm glad for them. My agent negotiate all the rest of this. But right now we got to get better. The main thing is the main thing. So I ask y'all, don't fall into listening to that. I ask y'all, man, don't even discuss that because that ain't got nothing to do. Yes, you might want long term with it, but right now the main thing is this season. And I've always said, win, baby, play well. All that other stuff will work itself out well. I remember what Michael Jordan said, and y'all might, and y'all might think I might be going off on this. Michael Jordan said he didn't need no publicist. He said the people who need publicists is the people that ain't winning. Because you win, you don't have to worry about the deals. They're coming. Focus on your craft, and everything else will fall in your place. The ones that are trying to get the contracts before they focus on their craft is the one trying to cheat the system. Yeah. And I ain't saying you people don't supposed to get paid for their long term. I'm not saying that. But now you have started this. Let's get together. And I just think those ones that's asking those questions, just being messy. And I don't trust them at all. I don't care who they are. And I mean that because you got to understand distractions and confusion only hurts this team. It don't motivate. I have never seen a distraction that motivates. So the second part of this is, we're gonna start. I don't know if I'm gonna start off with the George Pickens interview first. And God, did I put his interview that in here? Let me make sure that I go get the George Pickens interview. God Almighty, let me make sure I go and get the George Pickens interview. I'm sorry for y'all, but the the one of my topics here was about George Pickens and his interview. Um, that was very impressive to me. It was very impressive to me. Um, very impressive. Um, I think the young man is growing. Uh, please bear with me. Because I'm not again, like I said, I'm not the person that does a lot of I think I got that. All right. The George Pickens interview was the most impressive. Um, and I want to say this about George Pickens. You know, I've had a lot of commentary about George Pickens and about his consistency. A lot of people ain't agree with what I've said. I still stand on what I said. I stand on what I said because of a young man that needs to understand that sometimes when you make immature decisions and you react a certain way, it can hurt you. And just because later on you turn around and do something great, that when people start to punish you still for what you was before or what happened before, you cannot go around saying, woe is me. And I understand everybody's situation is different. But for a black man in this sport, yes, they're gonna hold it against you. I hate to say it that way. And sometimes when you make decisions, and that's why I try to teach young people. Sometimes you make decisions or you act a certain way or you act in a certain way. And then later on you leave and you realize and you say, I ain't act like that. I'm not that way here, but people still hold that against you. And it hurts you somewhat. Did George Pickens lose some money or a chance to have a long-term deal already? I think he did. Because Pittsburgh had set the deck when they gave him the number one wide receiver side. And they were going to invest their time and their money into George Pickens. Just don't think George Pickens handled it well. Regardless of what quarterbacks, you don't handle things in those that nature. I think he understands that. And when teams take a great talent like that and they trade him well before his contract ends, and then they before that they went and they go get another guy that's an older guy to be the number one wide receiver, that means there was something wrong in that room. And one thing about Pittsburgh, when things are wrong in the room is they kind of hold it. You'll start seeing the stories about the players after they leave Pittsburgh about if there was a problem. But again, he came to a situation that was golden. He got, listen, a lot of people don't get traded or things go wrong or they're in a situation like that, get in a better situation. Not only did he come to a situation that not that they wanted him to be a number one wide receiver, he could fit into a role of being a playmaker because that number one wide receiver was already taken. And the person that he was already taken by was accepted, the personalities mesh, and he got a quarterback that was a grown man. Now, hear what y'all say when people may get off on me, get mad with me. Dak Prescott has always been a grown man. He's always had to be a grown man since day one when he's had to take over the Dallas Cowboys as a rookie. He always had to be under that pressure, under that microscope. And he got into this organization, got into this organization and started dealing with guys like that gave him confidence, but also gave him some type of structure. And Shoddy gave him type of structure. Now, there might have been some rough edges, which I've heard. Yeah, the George Pickens didn't act like a quiet boy when he first got to Dallas, but he started to grow. And he started to grow and he started to mature. And he loves football. And I think he understands that the situation in this place is different if he was at a place where the number one wide receiver was vacant. He understands it has to, yeah. But I think he likes his environment. I think it's good for him. And I think the kid is going to do great things if he continues to grow. And he talks about that. But he is being a true professional. I don't think he was such a true professional in Pittsburgh. Sometimes young players have to learn that, man. If y'all know, if any of y'all deal with kids, any of y'all have kids, have children, have coached, or have kids or seen situations, not every kid that makes a lot of money that's 18, 19, 20 years old is mature. Some get a chance to get in an environment or get around somebody that makes this, that turns that switch on, and they start to grow. Some fight the growth. They get around people that's even worse, and they get even worse. I think George Pickens found his niche, and he found his place, and he found the right people here, and it's helping him grow. And I salute that young man. Now, some people say, "Well, coach, you should get it paid." No, well, different is the main thing is the main thing right now. And I get people, well, we go if we get it right here, we gonna save some money. Why we worry about saving money? And truth be told, if a guy knows his value and an agent knows his value, he's not gonna let his guy undersign. Believe that, man. I keep trying to tell y'all, Dak Prescott was gonna get 40 million probably year after year two. It was gonna be no less because his agent already did the estimate of what the value would be when that contract was over. Let me say this again. Pickens is different. But any of your guys that's out there that got 2 years left on their contract, if you sign an extension for the value today and they got 2 years on it, go check this out. The contract don't start, extensions start after the original contract ends. You get a bonus, but the real contract don't start until the original contract ends. If somebody signs you today at the rates for the day, and then 2 years that kicks in, the rates might be different then. So what agents do, they estimate what the rates would be 2 years from now. That's what they're asking for. That's smart. Because if an agent lets you sign a small deal and then 3, 4 years later it's outdated and you still in the back of the pack, he will get fired by every client. So when y'all think that they're saving money, they're gonna still go after whatever the rates up after the extension is over. That's why most players and teams don't extend people until the last year of their contract. Why? Because now you're closer to the rate of value of the next year. So when you do a contract, the client will be happy with where they fit in. And you only, if you're talking about saving, we're talking about pennies. Understand that. If you sign an extension, the value of the contract don't start until the original contract is over. So if a guy got 3 years left and he signed an extension 5 more years, 3 years, that's when a new contract gonna come in. If he signs at today's prices, which is the highest paid, when he get 3 years from that, he might be back in the back of the pack again. When the money kicks in, that's why players like to wait to the last so they can get true market value. The top name guys. Contract 101. Go check it out. And if actually, y'all, do that make sense? Yes. Not gonna sign an extension at a rate in 2026, and it's not even gonna kick in to 29. By the time 29, what the rate was, the highest rate of 26, then when I get to 29, I'm way behind everybody again. Only thing I did is get the bonus money. Then when I get to the contract, I'm behind everybody. When you say, well, coach, we can get them cheap at this price. Agents ain't falling for that. Come on, man. They won't be in business. They know what you're trying to do. They know you're trying to sign for rates this year, and when the rate's going to be different 2 years from now. So what they do is an estimated rate value. I don't know where y'all get that. Oh, they could just give anything. Oh, they'll get them for cheap. I remember some people talking about they could have got Dak for 28 million. And what in 3 years when then Dak was making 28 and everybody else making 40. What Dak age you gonna say now? First you was behind in the draft and you ain't made no money. Then I signed you a extension way out, so you making 28 million in 2 years. Then when you can start making 28, everybody making 35, 40. And y'all saying, well, they got him easy. No, they got him easy. He was a dummy. That's why Jerry said he respected Dak Prescott so much. Because Dak was not going to take less than what his market value was when he signed the deal. And he was never going to fall way behind market value again because he already did that for you for 4 years as a fourth round draft pick. Smart. Now, the first interview I'm going to do with George Pickens. I like the George Pickens interview so well. So bear with me when I share this. It is a very good interview. I am very impressed by the young man, not just because of what he can do for the Cowboys. And when I finish this interview, I'm gonna say something about George Pickens this year. I'm gonna give you my impression of what the Cowboys are thinking with George Pickens. I'm gonna give you what George Pickens is thinking, and I'm gonna tell you how I think this year is gonna turn out. And it may turn out to be very beneficial for George Pickens, but not in the way that y'all may think. And if any of my people in here, man, any of my guys from my YouTube guys, man, please give me a shout out in the chat. Like, comment, subscribe. If you send a super chat, that'd be great. Everything that you put out here, man, would be greatly appreciated from y'all, man. We appreciate everybody that's coming and join us. Please, if you want to send out a super chat, we would greatly appreciate it to keep things going, man. Thank y'all so much for coming in and um join this with us. The George Pickens interview starts off with a great question at the beginning. Still gonna be some contract questions in there, but let's listen to it. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Um, if y'all give me a thumbs up in the chat, if y'all can view everything, if y'all see everything, please give me a thumbs up in the chat. If y'all can see everything, I would greatly appreciate if you give me a thumbs up in the chat once we start playing this, that y'all can see everything and that y'all can hear everything. Because I want to make sure that y'all got the best viewing of this. I may have not speeded this up. I hope I don't get no copyright infringement on here. But here's the George Pickens interview. Um, And it's a time. Let me see if I can get this set and speed it up a little bit. I don't need no smoke. I don't need no smoke. It may be a little fast. Tell me if it's too fast in the chat. But let me get.
So I wouldn't say really grown.
Since last year, being a part of this organization, how much has this improved your game?
I say a ton. I improved a lot last year, so I wouldn't say really grown. I'll just probably say just keep putting brick by brick and trying to get better and better.
And then this offseason, all the contract stuff is behind you now because you're locked in on this year. What's the mentality going into the season now in this 1 year prove-it situation for you?
Not really for me, just for a lot of guys. I feel like whether you know him or not, or know his name or not, or know his number or not, I feel like some guys are in the same situation that I am. So for a collective, I feel like we're doing pretty good, just putting 1 foot forward.
All right. I want to say something early, and we're going to listen. And I'm going to break these things down because this right here is a very important part. First, he's talked about, they asked him about the question, do he feel like he's grown since he's been here? And he said, yes, since he's been here. And then this young man says something that is a very mature answer. And this is a part of this cultural build that I'm starting to hear. He said, put brick by brick. See, there was some words saying coming out of Pittsburgh that Pickens felt like he was a know-it-all. I'm not saying he was not talented. And sometimes when you're talented and you feel that you can't, you little know too much, you are somewhat inconsistent. And at Pittsburgh, he was very talented, but he was not consistent. Never had over 70 catches, had big games. I think the year that he had 1,000 yards, and listen, now see, people think I'm hating on Pickens, but like I say, I know this is where we're consistent. The year that he had 1,000 yards, like I said, he was on my fantasy team every year. He was in Pittsburgh. Yes, I picked especially be my third wide receiver. And that year, I think he made 1,000 yards. He had 1,000 yards. That 1 year, he had 1,000 yards in Pittsburgh. He had 2 games. I think he had 200 yards. And another game, he had 175 yards. So he was very explosive because he got 1,000 yards with the 16 catches. He was very explosive. And he's what I think he is. I've said, I don't think Pickens is a number 1 wide receiver. I think Pickens is a big play wide receiver. And there's a difference. Not that number 1s can't make big plays. But I think this guy specializes in making bigger plays. That's the type of stuff he's going to do. Thank you, JC. Please watch, man. Thank you, man. That's what Pickens is. I'm not saying Pickens is not a great wide receiver. He's a big play wide receiver. There's a difference between big play and number 1 wide receivers. In Dallas Cowboy history, we have always had that when we had great teams. See, a lot of y'all don't know your history. And I tell people that in our real life, when we look at political and all this other stuff is going on, if you knew your history, you'll see the we will before the we will comes, and then you'll understand where you are because history repeats itself. But a lot of us forget history or don't know our Cowboy history. Go back to your history. Drew Pearson was a number 1 wide receiver. Go back and watch. One guy did a great show on this guy. Go back to the Logic Cowboy. The Logic Cowboy does great stuff, just like my man JC Cowboy does. But he breaks down storylines. But he does a lot with the history of the Cowboys. Go back and watch what Tony Hill was. Thank you, man. Thank you, man, JC. Appreciate the super chat. But go back and watch. The Logic Cowboy talks about Tony Hill. Tony Hill was a big play wide receiver. Drew Pearson was a number 1 wide receiver. Go back. Tony Hill, yards per catch were off the chain. He was a big play wide receiver. Then he eventually moved into the number 1 wide receiver spot, but he was a big play wide receiver. Alvin Harper was a big play wide receiver. he had more big play catches than Michael Irvin. But Michael Irvin was the #1 wide receiver. This is why Pickens has such, in his career, his catches, he ain't never got 100 catches in the year yet. But his yard per catch and look at his routes. I have done the research on it. Go and look at his routes. The routes that Pickens run well are big play routes, even the slants, because of his long stride, his bigness, and he can get out in the open field. Not saying that CeeDee Lamb is not a big play wide receiver, just as when Michael Irvin was saying that they complement each other. That's what he's saying. There's a difference between big play and #1 wide receiver. In the history of football, when guys had two guys together, one was more of a big play and one was more of a #1. Not saying both of them couldn't make big plays, but they complement each other. But what Pickens said that made me understand was said when he got the question about contract, he was so correct in his analysis. What did he say? You know how many players are on this team that's up for extensions like Clark and Quentin Williams, and you know how many young players that's on just on 1-year deals are coming up at the end of their deals. Overshawn, he's coming up at the end of the deal. Pickens ain't the only person on here that's playing for a big contract. There's a lot of and guess what? In NFL teams, there's always a lot of guys that's playing for their future. This is not an uncommon ground. But your play beside the story. Very good answer. Because now he's not only thinking about himself, he's thinking about the team. That's growth from this young man. And I love it. Because now we're going to benefit, this young man will benefit. Great answer, great maturity that I'm seeing from this young man. Let's move on.
Expectations are so high for the offense because you guys were so good last year. What's the bar like in that room for you guys?
I feel like detailed. That's one thing Kobe Bryant used to always say. Detailed is always going to put you at least at the same standard or better. So I feel like when we're in the meeting room, when we're out here, where we're working out, detail is definitely one of the things we've been harping on.
He shot his trip to Park Cities, and it seemed like Dak is giving your offense a new nickname.
Stop it right here. If JC Cowboy is in the chat, if he's still in the chat, I hope you're still in the chat, JC. If JC is still in the chat, me and some of the YouTube guys that I work with, JC Cowboy, Boss Cowboy, Am Sports, Lou Tace, Henny, Landlord, if I miss some, Big Time Show, if I miss some, please blame it on my mind, not my heart. But we all, we in a text, Amp Sports, Amp Sports started this thing. He put all us in a group chat on Twitter, and they do a lot of messages. And I remember doing the messages, and JC's in the chat. He could tell you that a while ago I put in the chat about what you're going to start hearing from the Cowboys just before even training camp starts. I said when training camp starts, you're going to start hearing about details, about being more precise, about unity. All that I told people you're going to start to hear from this Cowboy team as you start going on. You're going to hear from the players. And we're hearing those things. That's why I said I'm not tooting my own horn. That's why I said that you're going to find out some intangibles about the game that's going to come from my show that they're not going to talk about on TV and in the conference room or in the media room. These are the things that's going to be taught behind the wall that are important to winning. And you're starting to see what's being taught behind, because when players' interview come up, how they answer questions is what they have heard over and over in the meeting rooms from the head coach and everything else. That's been since they was in high school, college, and right now in pros. So you're hearing what they're saying. Now, are we putting it to the test? As I said earlier, you will find out it's a growth process. We're starting the culture. But what happens is when we meet adversity, do we stick to our preparation? I've always said this. If you want to know how to fix any problem you got, if you want to know how you fix a problem at your job, you want to know how you fix a problem on a football team, you want to know how you fix a problem in your relationship, go back and look how you prepared. The answer is in your preparation of the fix. This is part of the preparation of building a team that's going to stick together like glue and going to be able to get to where we want to get to. Our biggest problem for years has been mental toughness and focus, not talent. We'll have more Pro Bowlers and more All Pros, just like some of the more teams. Some teams ain't got as many. But that's been our problem. And I like what he said here. Details. And this young man is a very talented guy. And details has always been his problem that made him look sloppy. And look what he's saying now. He's worried about the details. Why is he worried about the details? That's right. Preparation is what separates from the great. How you prepare, the preparation is going to separate you in the game. When you get in the game, you get against a better cornerback, a just as good cornerback, which he's going to face. And when it gets down, this is talented. It's going to get to about who is disciplined enough to know how they prepared to stay to their values and their discipline, to their rules and their skills and their discipline. That little bit of is going to separate the good from the good. And I said this, Pickens. This is what you're hearing from Pickens is not only what they're preaching. This is part of his exit interview from last year. Being more detailed, getting better. As I said in my preparation of this training camp, this offense is only going to get better if the guys find out and they realize what their flaws were. The definition of complacency is when you overlook what you have done wrong because you feel that you're doing it all great. And you overlook what may hurt you. I like this because this means that this complacency has been talked about. Great answer, Mr. Pickens. Another part when I see him growing. Let's move on.
Name, can you talk about that trip and how it was with you guys and sort of the new nickname?
Yeah, the Park City trip was super fun. All the receivers, some of the tight ends, just like I said, the guys, when we got camaraderie and brotherhoods, and another thing that we've been harping on, just staying close and connected together, we're going to definitely rely on each other in the game.
Being Gotti?
Yeah, and then Gotti is acronym for greatest offense, you know.
The camaraderie between you and CD. I mean, the trips you guys took together. Talk about this offseason.
Yeah, I'll probably definitely say, kind of like you said, the trips, and that's what makes it, you know, who we are on the field, just because outside of football, you kind of want to keep a brotherhood. You want to know the person. So I feel like we've been doing great collectively. Defense, too. Defense, those guys it's a new mesh of guys. I feel like that's more important than anything. Offense, we've kind of had the same group, but the defense been kind of surprising me with a mesh of new guys.
Listen to what he just said, and I told you in my start that I said he's gonna say something about the defense that I said at the beginning. Remember this when I said about defense. If there's no buy-in, you cannot defend. In defense, if there's no buy-in by 11 guys and all the backups, there's no way you could defend at a high level. He said something about the defensive players being all together. Again, I said this last year. You went into the season last year in training camp with Overshawn, a guy that you was going to depend on. on the IR, could not practice, couldn't really hang out with guys in doing certain drills because he was rehabbing. Diggs in the IR, Butler on the IR, Rebel on the IR. You got two guys came over here from you got Murray to come over here from in a trade. We remember his first couple of weeks, he was nursing an injury. Clark wasn't even here yet. Quinn Williams is still in New York. Donovan Wilson missed some time early on in training camp. Then you had Malik Hooker was dealing with a foot, and he missed some time in training camp. Bland already told you when we go to interview with him, he wasn't even feeling healthy because he said he wasn't feeling healthy when he started training camp last year. When he started, where's the continuity? So the defense last year went into from the offseason training camp was just away. And Michael Parsons, I ain't even talking about Michael Parsons. He was a holdout, hold in, hold out. No leaders on the field, no continuity, no camaraderie on the defense at all. It was destined to fail. Then you add a coach with a scheme that seems a little soft, and some assistant coaches that I don't think they can raise the level of people. Then you were depending on a guy like Clark, not Clark from the Green Bay, Clark the linebacker, that didn't play physical worth a damn. And then you were depending on a guy from Chicago in Sanborn that was slow, that didn't pan out. So you practice all offseason, starting these guys in training camp, and they don't even finish the season with you. Then you bring an Elam in here that can, if JC Cowboys out there, he ran a film study on Elam, it will make him throw up of the unphysical nature of Elam. You practice most of your offseason with Elam, Sanborn, and Clark, and they didn't even finish the year. While your other guys that you was depending on was over there drinking water and didn't even start to play till after you got into the season. And then the other people you depend on wasn't even here to trades. How the hell y'all thought the defense was going to play? Tell me something that I said was wrong. There was no continuity. There was no buy-in, and that's why I kept saying the whole year, it looks like the defense is playing with no confidence. Continuity builds confidence. Confidence goes into being control. When a defense is in control, they're controlling the offense. But first they need continuity. Then they need a level of confidence. Then they'll move into control. We never got to the first level. That's why we went disarray all year. We make one good play, and the only thing you do is take one hit to the face, and the confidence will be gone. This is what he's saying about the defense are hanging together. They're building continuity. We're all together practicing right now. That's going to improve us greatly, people. Y'all talk about getting players, just us being together, wide open, full board, everybody right now is going to improve us by 50 to 60% off the bat. Just by having leaders on the field like Clark and Williams, it's going to improve our game greatly. Great answer. And listen, also you said about the Cowboys, this is why this young man is growing. Him and CeeDee Lamb mesh personally. And then they fall under Dak Prescott's leadership that brings them together. This guy's not here because of contract. He's here because of his brothers. He's here because he believes in his brothers and he believes that we can win here. And believe it or not, Mr. Pickens, that's going to take you a long way. Farther than what you can imagine.
Guys, that's all good friends now.
How would you describe Ryan Flournoy?
Super good. Detail guy. That's what I mean by detail can put you at a high standard. When you come from position he came from, you have a high detail, you end up being where he is. So as a collective, we definitely want to do that.
Talking about the details, Shotty said that you've been dialed in during meetings. How much is that commitment to these details for you to be dialed in during meetings?
Super good. I feel like the collective really brought my mentality to it too. Like when we all came in, we all talked, we were already having that nuance of we want to be better. I mean, you know what I mean? We want to be better, which is in anything, anybody else. They want to be better than what they did before, but detail is definitely one component that is always going to be there. So we harp on that.
What about the celebration yesterday in the end zone? That was fun.
Yeah, loved it. Yeah, super fun. Fun for me.
Let me say this. When Schottenheimer says that, how you doing, Rhonda? Thank you, man, darling. Thank you for coming back in. Thank you for coming in, joining the show. When he said that, when they said Schottenheimer said that Georgia's been dialed in the meeting room, when a coach makes a comment like that, a coach don't really make a comment about a player that he sees all the time. Usually when you make a comment on stuff that is a change from a player. This young man is growing in front of our eyes. He's learning how to be a professional. As my thumbnail says, he's learning the growth of being a professional. That's going to help him play better. That's going to help him not let people get in his head, because he had a time sometimes players get in his head. He's not going to be a choir boy, but he's learning how to be a professional. I don't think y'all understand how important that is, because you get professionals on the field. That's not saying I'm asking guys to be choir boys. There's some guys that are hell raisers, but when it comes to football, they're professionals. And when it comes to hell raisers, they're professional hell raisers as well. See, I always like guys that had an edge. I ain't got no problem got an edge. But when it comes to football, you better have high IQ, not do things that hurt us, and be able to sacrifice and play as a team. You can be the fool you want. But when it comes to football, there's a football law. You got to abide by the football law. Because if you break the football team law, I ain't talking about team rules, playing wise, sacrifice, commitment, doing your job, being accountable, knowing your craft. That's the football law, team law. If you break the laws in that, not that you hurt, we all hurt. We all get punished. Yeah. When you get guys to buy in like that and they understand their brothers, they understand that I'm playing not for me, for my brother, you got something there. But it takes maturity, and we're seeing it from this young man, George Pickens.
You know, just excited, having a little fun.
How great can this offense be? It's part of the process of getting more comfortable, getting the contract taken care of. You know, it's a franchise tag. Getting that taken care of early, how much does that help when you focus on the field stuff?
Really, like I said, I left it up to my agent. So I was, even when we were 9-10 months from training camp, I was already thinking about ball. I was already training. So I kind of leave that to the people that can do that. For me, I just make catches, make plays, be a playmaker.
We all talk about this offense a lot, but how would you describe what the ceiling of this offense could be?
I don't think there is. No, that's the thing. The limitations and the nuance of a limitation, you shouldn't put that on yourself. You can really do anything you want. So I feel like as an offense, that's one thing and one mindset that we have. So just trying to be through the roof.
It's only been 2 practices, but has this defense been giving you guys any trouble?
Just new looks. Like I said, not really too much trouble, but iron sharpen iron. So plays here. They have a few plays. We have a few plays. But like I said, they're surprising me the most because it's a group of new guys or a group of guys that we brought back, and now they're all meshed together. We even got Downs. He just got in. He's meshed with 7-year vets. So, like, that's one of the things that I think is super important as of right now, for real.
What goes into sizing up new players that you have to go against?
Kind of the same thing. Like you said, it's different schemes. So we got a new D coordinator, so the scheme's a little different, but the player and his tendencies could be the exact same. So, like, just starting to watch what he does. If he repeats the same thing that he did the year before that, or he's the same guy since college.
All right. Lot to unpack here. One, he goes back again about the continuity and the brotherhood of the defense. But I want y'all to see some of the last what he just talked about just now when they asked the question about how he sized people up. If you're coaching any young players, if you're a coach out there, or you have some young players in your life that you want to give them any word of advice, self-evaluation is the most important evaluation you will ever do as a player. Knowing how you play, your tendencies, your habits. Because what I've always told players, if you're not watching you, somebody else is. And whatever flaws you got, if you don't realize them, somebody else is. Whatever you don't do right, if you don't realize it, somebody else sees it. If what you don't think you need to get better at, somebody else sees what they need to attack. You need to know you, and you need to get better at you and doing things to safeguard your flaws and enhance your great tendencies. Let me say that again. Safeguard your flaws and enhance your greatness. Guess who else is supposed to help you with that? Your coaching staff. That's part of coaching. Every player has tendencies. Every player has things that they do well better than others. What you do as a coach is you try to get their tendency, and what we do is fine tune their abilities. That's what we do training camp, drills. That's why we coach, because we try to fine tune their skills. Remember what I said. I need to pull that up. I'll pull it up after this interview. I said every player's got talent. There's only 4 things what a coach can do with talent. 4 things. 1, motivate. You can see that they're motivated. This coaching staff has motivated George Pickens to be a better receiver. 2, you motivate. 2, refine their skills. He said he's been brick by brick, paying attention to details. So they're putting emphasis to refining his skill level. 3, hold him accountable. They held him accountable when he missed that meeting. And you can best believe they're holding him accountable for every mistake he's making to make him get better. That's the 3rd thing you could do with players with talent. That's the only thing you can do. You can't make it because only mom and dad can make the guy with talent. And the 4th thing is put the talent in the right spot for it to shine. If you know what a player, if you got a young player, self-evaluate that player. And that player got to be honest with himself to get better at his skills. Because what you don't see, or you act like you don't see, guess what? Somebody else sees. Isn't that it? And that's what he said. He said, yeah, I'm just evaluating guys, see if they got the same tendency, if they're doing the same thing they did last year, because I know how to attack. The guys from last year shouldn't got better at the stuff that they were doing bad to make him say, oh, you look tight. Yeah, man, I can't attack you with that inside route now. That's growth in a player. And he's getting better at understanding that Because guess what, Pickens? People are watching your routes and seeing what you do wrong. Just like you evaluating other defensive backs, people are taking that film and evaluating every route that you did something good, and you got to get better at yours so you can be unstoppable.
College. So that's going to always be in that person, but the scheme is definitely new and improved.
What do you think it's going to be like playing in Rio? What do you think it's going to be like playing in Brazil?
Super fun. I feel like I'm glad the league is doing that just because now my first year, or last year when I first got here, I was kind of like some of the other guys, just trying to get the groove of it, trying to know some guys while I'm getting the groove of it, while I'm trying to learn to play. So that's why I said I commend the defense, because a lot of guys are going through that right now and they're doing super good.
Jerry says he wants you to be a Cowboy long term. How do you feel when you say that? And how do you feel about that possibility?
Super excited. I'm always super happy when someone thinks highly of me. So shout out to Jerry.
All right. A lot happening this offseason for you. Does it feel different out here? And what's it been like the last few months for you?
Yeah, getting married, best day of my life. But it's been great. You know, she's been supporting me a ton throughout. Just getting my meals right. The sandwiches have been great.
All right. Great interview by Pickens. We're about to go into a little bit of Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson get a lot of flack. I think Jake Ferguson, to me, had a very good year. I think ball security, I think he's going to work on that. If I got a tight end that's trying to get extra yards and every time he fumbled the ball, he was trying to get extra yards and he fumbled, yes, I'm mad. I'm mad because taking the ball is ultimately important. But I'm also happy that he's fighting for those. We can correct the ball security. And people talking about he didn't have a big. You're not going to have really a big year on a team when you have those two wide receivers at that rate. But I think he can get even better. I think his blocking got a lot better than it was the 2 years before. I just want to see him to continue to improve. I just want him to fit his role with these two tight ends that fit their role and do their roles. And I think by him getting married, that's another level of maturity there. And I'm looking for him to do good. I know he's going to get because everybody looking for that sighting tight end to go around and catch all that. Let me say it again. I said this on previous shows, and I'm going to say it again. When you're evaluating players, you should evaluate first their job duties. So if you evaluate a tight end, guess what? They're going to block way more than they're going to be targeted on passes. Matter of fact, they may block less. They're going to block 100% of the time they're on the field. Except when they're running back. They're going to block defensive ends. They're going to have crucial blocks in the running games, cutoff blocks, field blocks, setting the edge. They're going to sometimes be blocking defensive ends. They're going to be asked to do a lot blocking. They're probably going to block more than they're going to catch. If their blocking is suspect, if you had a job and your main job you were suspect on, how long you going to have that job? Your greater tight ends, y'all talking about Kelsey, y'all talking about Grant, y'all talking about Kittles, they are hell of a blockers. Why? Because that's part of their job. Now, do people talk about it? No. But it shows on the field. So if you can't block as a tight end, you can't play for me. There was a tight end, I forgot his name, Graham, that was great catching. And he played for about eight damn teams. And everybody said, damn, Graham can catch the ball on anybody. Why? Because Graham couldn't block. Great wide receiver. But if I wanted a wide receiver, I'd get a wide receiver. Just like I said about linebackers. If I want a linebacker, his greatest job is covering, I'll get a safety to play linebacker. Or a corner. Look at their biggest job and make sure they do that well.
I attribute a lot of that to my body fat percentage going down. So, yeah, it's been great. And then coming out here with the guys playing football, it's nothing better than this.
A lot easier to get healthy when you're not alone in that. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Tell me about Gotti. What's it? G-O-T-I? Is that what it is?
Yep.
You know, the idea where it came from and
Well,
when we're fully focused, when we're playing our game and we're dialed in, we are the greatest offense there is, and we believe that, and that's just something we're striving to be every single day, meeting room, practice, whatever it may be.
Last thing for me is just Shotty's been talking about culture, leadership, and since he arrived, it feels like this group is full of guys who do it the right way. That's not just like a thing on the wall, right?
Yeah.
What has it been like from your perspective in this room, from the just daily doing things the right way standard of what you've seen compared to previous years in your career?
Yeah, it's special, and it starts with Shotty. It's top down. He come in and he doesn't just talk the talk; he walks the walk, and what he says he's going to do. And that, like I said, that's top down. We got guys, a lot of vets, a lot of older guys who have been through stuff, who've seen a lot of different places, and they have great voices. But then also, I attribute a lot of that to our young guys. I think today's day and age, it's hard to find those young guys who, they want to be quiet and they want to work and they want to earn something. And, we got a lot of those guys. A lot of those young guys are hungry. A lot of those young guys are, hey, I want to earn the right to speak.
That's a very good point. Man, he really hit something that touched me. We got a lot of young guys, and I know I'm about to get in trouble when I say this because people gonna say, "Coach, you old school," and you trying you hate it. This is where I think NIL is gonna kill is gonna hurt football quality. And I understand what the NFL, what the college people are getting paid. Yes, I understand that. Still, you still have to make these guys earn their money. And when you start giving guys way more money when they come in without even coming in and doing anything at the level, you're setting the precedent of entitlement. And what Ferguson was just talking about, it's hard to find young men that's not don't feel entitled, that feel like they already arrived. And Shadi said something earlier, and I think the leaders on this team, and I think we finally got that we're getting football guys. Football guys are not not guys that say they don't want to get paid. Everybody want to get paid. But these guys are football guys that love football. And if you get enough football guys, it's infectious that goes across. And these guys that see a good team, a great opportunity, football guys don't let great opportunities go by because that's what they live for, of the competition and playing that ball. Businessmen allow opportunities to go by and they're only thinking about themselves. Okay, you get a lot of those guys, you'll underachieve. Point blank, you see it all the time. We get a blind eye to it, but it's the truth. So that's one of the things that I like, and that's what he was alluding to of that. But that was a great comment, and it's about football guys. And I think now we are at that level that he's building that. And one other thing he said, before we go to the next interview, he said something about Schottenheimer and trusting. Remember what I always said about coaches? In my previous shows, what I said, it's more important that the players respect and trust you initially than like or love you. Let me say that again. It's more important that they trust and respect you than like or love you. The like and love will come if you gain the trust and respect first. Respect what you say, like and trust you. They ain't got to like or love you because they can say they can think you're an a-hole how you say things. But they got to understand that you coming with it for the real. You may not know how to deliver. And they got to understand when you say something, if they don't deliver, then that's the end of them. Respect and trust. Because they like and love you so much, they'll take your butt for granted. And when you try to correct them and get them to go to the next level, they'll be like, man, that's my boy. Respect and trust first. Then like and love will come. I don't know who this last interview is, who this person is. Let me see.
Yeah, just another chip on my shoulder. I got to go out and prove myself all over again. Last year was what it was, but it's a whole new year.
For you, when you were on the field last year, this team was different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how much has that been a priority for you this offseason, doing what it takes to make sure you're there all season long for this team? What have you done?
Yeah, I mean, we came short last year. I mean, as good as the offense was, we didn't do enough. We didn't get where we wanted to go, so that's definitely at the top of our list.
Hey, I got a problem with Williams. And I don't know if nobody saw this. I got a problem with Williams. I think Williams is a great running back. I think Williams is going to do well. I think Williams is too damn heavy. I'm going to say this again. I like Williams. I think Williams is too damn heavy. I think he's dependent on his bruising nature, but still, yet he can still be a bruiser with a little bit more wiggle. Too damn heavy. See, when you go to a season, you get so many carries and you feel like you banged up. The next year you get a little bit more bulked up and you get a little heavy. I think that heaviness is gonna hurt him. We'll see. But I think he's too heavy. And I would guarantee you he is heavier than he was last year. Remember I said that, Coach Marv, real talk. Too heavy, Williams.
Yeah. Tell me about the running back group. What do you like about this group? What's standing out so far?
Yeah, I love everybody in the group. I feel like everybody brings something different to the table. I feel like everybody in the room could be a starter on any team that they play for. So, I mean, just the competition that we got in that room is just going to make all of us better.
What do you love about coming out here? I mean, beautiful. This is pretty nice out here.
Yeah, I mean, we got everything we wanted. All in one. We got food. We got a place to stay at. Everybody right beside each other. We just kick it, play the game, do everything. So I can't complain.
We've seen some explosive runs from Jaden Blue these first couple of days. Where have you seen him improve the most from last year to this year?
Yeah, just his confidence. I mean, everything that he's doing on the field is just showing that how hard he worked in the offseason. So I'm glad to see him making plays.
I think he's too heavy. I really do. I don't. I think he's a little too heavy. I know some people say, Coach, what you talking about? I just think he's too heavy. And it will show. Because I said this before. Yes, I understand he's gotten a little bit bigger because he was taking a lot of hits. And he wanted to make sure that he can take the pounding. I understand that. I understand him saying, I want to take the pounding. But he looks too big to me. He looks fullback size to me. And he's still going to be trying to play tailback. I understand he's a tough running guy, but I still needed him to be able to have a burst to hit a double or a triple. I don't need him looking for all singles. I need him to have ability to hit a double and a triple. That's what's going to make him a guy. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be blue speed. I'm not saying he's going to be the change of pace. But I don't need a guy that isn't going to be a plotter. And you don't need to gain a lot of weight to have physicality. And I don't know if a lot of people seen that, but I'm saying it now. You're too big, Williams. Because being too big and not having enough wiggle, your physicality is not going to get you over to get to make a 3-yard gain into 5 or 6 yards. Just on brute physicality, because this guys are going to meet that with force. That little bit of wiggle for you with the power made you that much value. I ain't say you had to beat Barry Sanders, but that little bit of wiggle with power made you who you are. Now you look like a brick house. See, changing yourself. See, that same thing. I think Boss made a. I was watching the Boss Cowboys them show, and I think I got a brief little snippet of what he was saying. I think he said about CeeDee Lamb and his and how he feel like CeeDee Lamb is running faster because, and he made a very great, very good observation of that because he said he believes CeeDee Lamb out of that wingback position when they were giving the ball. He think that's over with now. I think that's gonna go to Flournoy because Flournoy's gonna put him some weight, and Flournoy is a very good runner too. But he said, I don't think CeeDee Lamb gonna be doing that this year. So now he can get back to his natural weight because he ain't got to worry about that part of his offense. And now he can get back to a slimmer weight so he could be that sleek wide receiver again. Okay. Again, sometimes that hurts you because you're trying to prepare yourself for something you ain't and put on weight because you worried about the physical pounding. And you think that that's helping you be able to deal with it better. But what it does is it hurts your game. Williams, you can't tell me you ain't come in higher weight than you were last year. And the reason I say that is you're going to mess around and a guy like Blue going to show you more power than what he got, but going to have that little burst to get what he wants. So that's what I'm saying. You got to be very careful about that, Williams. Very careful. Let's look at a couple more interviews. I want to go and see that maybe let's listen to Caleb Downs right quick. I wanted to hear what he says. Great young man, very good young man. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can see the interview.
How do you feel? Just talk about your health and what you are.
Feeling good. Feeling real good right now.
How's it feel to feel good? I mean,
no,
I'm saying feel good.
This is Bland. We're listening to Bland right now. This is Bland. I'm sorry.
Men out there healthy and ready to go.
I mean, yeah, I'm just ready to go. It's been a long time coming for me. I feel like I've been last time I played since December. Been on the field, so I feel good to be out here.
Is there anything you can't do, or is there any strenuous things anything like that? Or are you all?
Oh no, we full go. Just limited rest, but full go.
What do you think going against, George and CD and these guys can do for your game and the rest of the corners out there?
Oh, we're one of the best in the league, so they prepare you for every week because you're never going to see guys like that every week. So I see them every day in practice. It's going to be good.
How do you deal with this quarterback group? Obviously, a lot of change, new defensive coordinator, just how are things starting to feel?
It definitely like competition. I feel like a lot of guys come in here and make plays, so it feels good to come in every day and know who's going to beat who today.
Speaking of competition, just talk about the jump that you might.
Now, one thing about Bland, they say Bland is not a very loud person. He don't like doing interviews. He don't really like saying anything. They say he's very quiet. So you're not really getting too much from Bland. But one thing I'm getting from Bland more than anything else, when this young man talked about how good he feels this year, he's letting you know he didn't feel that great coming into last year. So when you got him not feeling great coming in last year, Diggs not knowing that Butler, nobody talking about Butler. I think Butler is either going, is he going to recover? He's going to do well. But a lot of that, again, the health, man, is going to put help us a lot. There's no quick fix. I'm going to say this. There's no one quick fix guy that you're going to get to win a Super Bowl. Yeah. There's not. If people said that with them, DeMarcus Lawrence was the quick fix guy for Seattle. We should have kept him on. great thing about Blaine. Talks about, getting back to what he was. The another person I want to talk about is Mr. Jalen Thompson. We're going to listen to him.
These guys, what's it like practicing against them? It's fun, man. It's fun. Everything about our practice and everything is about competition. So, that's what I'm brand on, this competition. So it's been fun, bro. It's been fun.
What are your early impressions of the defense? You're obviously here because they had defensive issues.
Yeah, defense is flying around right now. Obviously, it's first day. We had a couple mistakes, but flying around, CP getting us right in there. So pretty good.
A lot of rehab work for you in the spring. How do you feel physically?
Feel amazing, bro. I was telling Coach earlier today, I'm blessed to be out here. It's a great opportunity, and I'm ready to go.
Caleb Downs was lining up a lot of different places. Obviously, you guys want to be very versatile, but in terms of just his ability to kind of already be at a versatile standpoint,
for sure.
How impressive is that?
Oh, it's real impressive. It's real impressive. When he can do multiple things like that, it makes our job a lot easier on the back end. So having a guy like that can just move around and be versatile is always good for our defense.
You guys had great communication during minicamp. That was one of the things that stood out. How has that transcended to the first day here, and where do you guys think you are in terms
One more time?
How has your communication kind of transcended from where you were in minicamp from a team perspective?
I think it's just more of a confidence thing now. Guys are just louder with the communication. Guys are just echoing it a lot more. So, it's a great first day.
All right. What he said remember I was saying about continuity? As guys start to get to know each other, they get comfortable with each other. What he said, what the communication does, it gets louder because it's the confidence thing. So as they get to know each other, they get more confident what they're talking about, and now it gets louder. Now you get more people talking. Now you don't get, what I used to listen for is, you could tell by the pitch of the voice how confident somebody is in their calls. When you get whispers and they saying it with a cracked voice, that means they're saying something, but they really are not confident. When guys start barking out stuff and showing signs and just eye contact and barking stuff out, that means they are confident in what they say. And guess what, people? That affects the offense. When an offense see a defense in sync, it makes them start second guessing what they're going to do. And then there's one other thing that defense has always used as a great equalizer. And we'll talk about that a little later. But this is what he said. Let me get to this point in this video with Mr. Blaine. Let's see, we get to.
So, it's a great first day. We expect to build on it.
Jalen, this is the 20th year the Cowboys are here in California, so it's kind of old hat to us. But
where were you? Cowboys were up the road.
I was in Downey. I went to the team. Guys follow, so it's big time.
What do you remember from a scouting perspective going up against the Cowboys?
Quarterback wearing that.
It's big. It's big time. You know what I mean? When our leader is wearing that, and showing that message to the team, guys follow. So it's big time.
What do you remember from a scouting perspective going up against the Cowboys last year, and then having a chance to play George Pickens?
Pretty much those guys right there. That was the big thing I remember is George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Dak. Those are the guys that's making the plays and doing all the right things. So when I come to this team, and my thing is just to follow those guys and
going up against.
They just got guys everywhere, man. Guys everywhere. Obviously, you got Ferg at the tight end. Great running back in Javonte. The whole offense is pretty much set. Now it's just time for the defense to get on board and communicate, do what we got to do in order to get that Super Bowl.
Shotty wants to battle against that fatigue factor, so it's increasing and vamping up the conditioning aspect.
For sure.
You like that?
Heck yeah. Anything to help us get better in any type of way, I'm getting.
Man, we're going to go to the next interview, but listen. Schottenheimer hit me so much. Y'all don't know how much I love the point when Schottenheimer said that he want to increase that he said he want to increase the conditioning factor of this team. Y'all don't know how much I love that. I've been saying for a couple of years that our team has been out of shape. I said that all when McCarthy was here, that our team was not in condition. And you could tell, some of the people on live stream, some of the people I did live shows with, could tell you that I used to speak about that. I didn't say that's why we were an undisciplined team and we was a sloppy football team. Because we up there practicing in 70-degree weather. We ain't got a heat factor. So how did you if you ain't in a heat factor, you ain't in a scorcher, you ain't where Kansas City is. Kansas City practice in 102 temperatures. So if you ain't in that type of place, you got to do something to get that to I've been talking about that for years. If you ain't practicing 102 temperatures, You got to do something to counteract that to get your guys in shape. And it's not about just being in shape. It's about the mental capacity, what it does. What he's doing is he's trying to push them to a level, as I keep trying to tell you, as a coach, you got to be able to turn the heat up on your players to know when their breaking point is. Just like when you turn it up, you got to turn that heat up because you got to know where their breaking point is. When do they start breaking down? When they start forgetting the little things? When do they start turning on each other? When do they start slacking up? When do they start just giving in to the pressure? And you build your team to get stronger and stronger and stronger. So when you go to the games, someone can say this ain't as hard as the games is easy. And no team can get them to that stress level. Because you already done got them there and then got comfortable there. So when they don't get to that stress level, you know that they're focused constantly for 4 quarters. This is what he's saying. He's trying to ramp it up. He's trying to feel how they react. Because when you get in the 4th quarter, everybody done played 3 quarters. It's who keeps it together. I remember this. A guy would tell me he would watch NASCAR. See, everything is relative to me. He said, when you get in the last laps of NASCAR, the guys that ran 500 laps, it's the guy that's disciplined enough, that's in shape enough inside that car to not let him slip in a corner. Not let him slip coming off of winning because he's in shape. He has not let the wear and tear running 400 laps in a hot car drain him of his technique. The great tennis match people tell you when they get in the 5th set is about, can I keep my technique when I'm tired to get that first serve in? The basketball team going down the stretch, can we get the rebound, which takes a lot of energy? Can we close out on a 3-pointer? Because we got to scramble. In a baseball game, can the pitcher finish the game when he gets tired? Can they cut the alley down on a ball in the alley when they're tired? Can you steal that base in the 9th inning? Can you leg out a double or a triple that maybe get a scoring position to win a game in the 9th inning? Can you make a play on defense when we need to make a play to stop somebody to get the ball back? When you're tired. Can our running back finish that route or that run? Can our wide receiver finish that route? Can our offensive line hold up for a 10-play drive in the final quarter of a 4-quarter game that we've been grinding all game? They're tangibles, people. From winning and losing. This is the culture that we're trying to set. Now, y'all, I like people do on their shows, they talk about go get Max Cosby, go get this, go get that. I understand that. And let's say that's football too. But I can guarantee you're going to have to come back down the street that Coach Marv is talking about if you're going to try to get a championship. I ain't saying the other streets are not important. They are. And I like them. And I like the ideas. But I don't think talent has been a problem here. And I always say names are built every day. See, Tony Toba wasn't a name that took one Super Bowl. Ken Norton wasn't a name that took one Super Bowl. Because remember, the year they won the first Super Bowl, none of the defensive players made the Pro Bowl. Even Charles Haley didn't make the Pro Bowl. Leon Lett was a name when we won the Super Bowl. Larry Brown became a name when we won a Super Bowl. James Washington became a name when we won a Super Bowl. They made their name. They didn't come here with ready-made names. That's why I'm asking these players, make your name, baby. Because know how you make a name? With opportunity. And you got an opportunity. And what Coach Marv always say about opportunity? Opportunity never disappears. It never goes away. It just goes to the next damn person. Seize those opportunities. Let's listen to Mr. Blank. This time we're going to listen to our last interview, and we're going to listen to Mr. Caleb Downs. I think we listened to Caleb Downs. We're going to listen to Mr. Downs. Very good young man. Watch this interview. Very mature young man. I see why Nick Saban loved this guy. This guy's football first and knowledge first. Some very good nuggets he got in here. We're going to stop when we hear those nuggets. Let's listen to Mr. Downs.
Coming along, are things already starting to slow down? What's the process been like for you?
Yeah, I feel like every day things slow down just a little bit, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's a positive always to have the spring behind me, to be able to learn from what I did in the spring and make the adjustments that I need to and learn what I need to focus on. So I'm excited for it and keep going from here.
How much easier does it make to kind of put all of your offseason work together now that you're playing against the offense and it's more physical? You guys are flying around.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a football player. 7-on-7 summer workouts when there's no pads, that's good. But I like a real thing. So I'm excited for when we put pads on and do everything like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Shotty said he gave you a shout out for your ability to. You got CD Beach want to play a mini camp, and then they ran the same play, and you clubbed him. Is what you said.
Stop right there. And you know what Coach Marv always talk about physicality. Oh, I love this. And I love Shotton have been saying this all summer long. He don't even like 7-on-7. He's going to change 7. He don't like 7-on-7. He's definitely not one of those guys that everybody thinks 7-on-7 league is a football league. Some people think 7-on-7 is really football. It's not. It's not a football league. And this goes back to what I was saying about defense. Remember I just said defense use certain things to be great equalizers? This guy said it. He's a football guy. He wants to play real football. He likes to be full in pads. Why is that? Why defensive players say that? If you've been playing football, you know football. Defense has always used physicality as their great equalizer to offense's skill set. Let me say that again. I'm not saying defensive guys are not great athletes. Sometimes I think they're better athletes because they're reactionary athletes. But they have always used physicality as the great equalizer to rein in offense's finesse. They've always done that. Since I was beginning of football, the first thing what people said when we was out in short and shoulder pads, what the players would say, wait till we get those pads on. Because they're going to use physicality to slow you down. I could say this for a fact. In shoulder pads and shorts, the route running and the receiver running across the field and doing all that stuff is the fastest it can be. But when there is total live action, when guys are putting their pads and putting you on the ground, I can guarantee you, if you check the speed of the routes and how things going, when full pads get on, it slows down 1 mile per hour. It does. It does. Putting your hands on them, redirecting, hitting people, that's what defense has always used as a great equalizer. This young man's understand that the physical part of it can allow him to shut down some of that advantage that they have in shorts and shoulder pads. Let's keep listening.
How did you go about kind of learning that process and kind of adjusting to that against CD this time?
Yeah, I mean, it's just film study. The same thing that I've been doing since I was a kid, just making sure that I'm watching everything that I need to watch and going from there.
and making sure that whenever it comes back, that I make the play then.
Caleb, what kind of, how intense of a guy is Christian Parker, and what kind of communicator is he? Because Shoddy and Jerry Jones both said his communication skills are really helpful.
Yeah, I think as a defender and then as a defensive coach, the main job is to communicate. That's the biggest part of the job, and to be able to say what everybody needs to learn. That's what he's done in the meeting room. That's what he does out on the field every day, is just try to teach people, and he does that at a high level. I mean, it's the best thing for a player when a coach wants to teach you. So I'm trying to learn as much as possible, and if he's willing to teach me, then great for me.
Shotty said you're one of 4 guys who have the green dot, and none of you trying to learn as much as possible. Clearly, they trusted your guy that can learn it and communicate it to the defense. Can you just talk about that opportunity as a rookie?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something I've done at every level, is communicate at a high level. That's what I think makes me special, just being able to understand everything and articulate everything. So it's something that, if that's on my plate, I'll do it at the highest level.
Do you think it can work to your advantage? You played in 2 elite college systems, so you've already adjusted once for one system to Ohio State. Now just kind of adjusting to another.
Yeah, I feel like making things same as. That's a big thing. Playing under Kevin Steele, Coach Saban's defense, playing under Jim Knowles, and playing under Matt Patricia, I have a lot of defensive knowledge to bank from, and I feel like that allows me to play fast out here.
Obviously, this being the Cowboys, you're going to hear a lot of Super Bowl talk. You're hearing it from within the team meetings, and you're going to hear it from the outside noise as well. So that's the obvious goal. But from an individual standpoint, what do you feel like would make this a successful rookie season for Caleb Downs to help push the team toward that?
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, we are all pushing to win a Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, somebody said it best today, we can only have the best day today. So we can't win the Super Bowl.
Stop right there. Stop right there. One of the greatest I'm gonna say one of the hottest coaches right now. If y'all in the chat, if y'all go and put in y'all chat box, or go in y'all search and put in Channis Berry. Channis Berry from South Carolina State, the head football coach from South Carolina State. And just put in Channis Berry and talk about and see him when he was at Benedict College and when he's at South Carolina State. 20 years he put into the labor of being an offensive coach and one of the best HBC offensive line coaches and offensive coordinators for 20 years and a lot of great schools. But he got his first opportunity about 8 years ago. I don't know, about 7 years ago at Benedict College. And he has taken over the college HBCU world. And if you just put in your search bar about Channis Berry and listen to him talk, I guarantee you will want your son to go play for Channis Berry. And he has always had what he's been saying this for both programs. And he got, when I say when you get a guy that gets everybody bought in, even the janitors at South Carolina State at Benedict talked about the 1-0 mindset and about winning the day. 1-0. I don't care when they go undefeated, they always talk about the next game is about going 1-0. And they keep stacking those days together, just like this young man talked about. Win the day. Get better today. Yes, I understand Dak walking around with a Super Bowl shirt on. Yes, our main focus is to get better today and to win the division. That's first. And everything else sets its tone from that. I think sometimes our fan base and our media try to lead us in to Super Bowl or bust. But there's such a long route to the Super Bowl that you can't forget about the stops. Before that, there's nothing wrong with having a long-term goal. But you got to fall in love with the process of dominating every day. Because if you don't, you're not going to get there. You're not even going to put yourself in an opportunity to get the long goal. Channis Berry always talks about 1-0 and talks about surrendering the outcome, surrendering the big outcome, the Super Bowl. Surrender that. Fall in love with the process. And guess who used to talk about that? Guess where Caleb Downs, where that came from, what he just said. That's a Nick Saban slogan. Nick Saban was about fault. That's why their team stayed so dominant for so many years. Same thing with Bill Belichick. Same thing with Andy Reid. When you have teams that dominate for a long time, they are worried about the process and being dominant every week. And they say, hey, man, the Super Bowl will come to us. We ain't got to go to it. Keep doing what you're supposed to do, and it'll come to you. Keep doing what you're doing every day, getting better, and you'll find the Super Bowl chasing you. You ain't chasing the Super Bowl. You'll find it'll be sitting outside your door. Fall in love with the process. And what Caleb Downs is showing you, he's falling in love with the process of getting better. Fall in love with the process. Get better every day. And guess what? The Super Bowl will be knocking on our door. But if you're chasing it and not getting better every day, and that's all your focus is, you chasing it and you don't win the division. You chasing it, you don't win this game. You chasing it, you got a wild card. You chasing it, you struggle to get in the playoff. But you still talking about the Super Bowl. Talk about winning games. I see players all the time talking about the Super Bowl and they 5-6. I see guys talk about winning the Super Bowl and our practice was horrible today. When I used to tell players, they used to talk about, man, what I'm going to do in the game, and I go watch the practice film and say, do what you're going to do 3 weeks from now. What you do today? Win the day. I tell you, I had a coach one time, the great Coach Marv, my first offensive line coach at Norfolk State University. We used to call him the Black Snake. He was hell, but he taught a lot of great lessons. And I said this on my last show, if y'all remember what I said. We had offensive line drills when we go in the team. So we go one-on-one. We have one-on-one drills. So it'd be a long line of offensive line, and then the defensive line come over. So we go one-on-one, sometimes two will come out combo. When you go in and get up there, bam, you go and you lose because you get up there and you ain't quite ready, and bam, the guy beat you and embarrass you. But what you want to do? The first thing you want to do is go again. And know what Coach Marv, you say, hey man, get in the back of the line. You ain't got but one time to look bad. And by the time you don't even get a chance to go again because the team is over. So you got to take that L against that defensive lineman all the way to the cafeteria to the next practice. For him to talk about how he bust your ass. Because what Coach Marv was saying, you got one time to look bad. You go down this road in this season, every game is a challenge. You got one time to look bad during the season. You cannot get out very, very rarely that a team wins the Super Bowl that don't win the division. Listen, they can count the teams that won the Super Bowl as wild cards. They could count them on one or two hands. So the first thing is to win your damn division. And you're in the best division in football, and I'm keep saying it, with the most Super Bowl champions, and the team that win the NFC East usually are contenders for the championship. Just 2 years ago, two teams in the NFC East are playing for the go to the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship game. That is the best division in football history. Win that. Put yourself in a position with the best, one of the better records in the NFC East. I mean, the NFC. And then you position yourself to get the goal. Surrender the outcome. Fall in love with the process, Cowboys. And young man right here is falling in love with the process of getting better. And he said, yeah, that's all well and good. But right now, as a rookie, they need to get better tomorrow. Great job.
Well, right now, we're just trying to have the best day that we can today. And that's the same thing for myself. I'm trying to accomplish my goals and be great at myself. And today is just being about being great today. That's all I can focus on.
He said he wouldn't put expectations on you that are higher than you would put on yourself. How high are your expectations and standards for yourself?
It's for me to know and y'all to find out.
What are your expectations for this defense? What do you think you guys are capable of, especially with some of the high-end talent you guys have with yourself, Quinn and Duran?
Yeah, I think it's to be a dominant. That's what I've thought about every defense I've been on, and we have the talent to do it, to dominate every offense that we go against, to go out in the game and know that we're prepared to make the plays that we need to make to win. So.
Caleb, you're no stranger to competition from the offense. I mean, of course, Alabama and Ohio State, but going up against CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Dak Prescott every single day, how does that, one, fare up?
At Alabama and at Ohio State, not full-time, but got reps at it every day. So I think it's just a culmination of everything and being able to see the game from different angles.
What does a veteran like Jalen Thompson mean out there? What does he do for you?
Yeah, JT, he brings that energy from me. You can tell he's locked in every rep, and I appreciate him for the way he approaches the game, and that's something that I've always, even since his.
Let me explain to what he's talking about, Jalen Thompson. Jalen Thompson was probably one of your biggest acquisitions. See, Caleb Downs is getting a lot of publicity, but Jalen Thompson there's a reason why they gave him more money than they've ever given a safety in Dallas history. And Jalen Thompson is going to be Caleb Downs' mentor, as well as Locke. See, Caleb Downs got the higher ceiling, and you may start to see that ceiling as the season goes on. But he's dependent on these guys to get him through the things he don't know about NFL. And the great thing about Caleb Downs is that while Thompson and Locke and these other guys like him is because they see the talent and he catches on fast. You love feeding sponges. When you're coaching, you love pouring water on sponges. You love pouring knowledge on sponges. What you hate as a coach is a brick. And what I mean by that, you can pour all the knowledge and keep bouncing right off. They don't have no absorbing power. But guys that are sponges, you love that. And the guys that are bricks, you try to turn them into sponges. How you turn them into sponges? Put them around guys that are sponges, and that rolls off. Caleb Downs' study habits is going to rub off on his teammates. Football first guys. I'm loving that. So these are some of the interviews that we just saw. And I shared some of those interviews for you because I thought that they were very, very pointed about the things that I think Schottenheimer has been talking about in his process of getting us to where we want to go. I want to share one more thing with y'all because, and I'm gonna say this because this is where I want y'all to get to Mr. Coach Parker. I'm gonna say this because I want y'all to get this message to Coach Parker. For this offense to be, and you heard that several times when this defense is talked about, this offense is talked about, this defense being better because of no, that ain't what I want. This defense being better because of the offense. I mean, the offense being better based off what the defense has showed them and how the defense has got out there and given them some very good looks and showed them how they're reacting to certain things. That's helped the defense get a lot better. And I like that. And I said that it's going to be for this defense, for this offense to get to where they want to get to, right? This team's gonna have the tone is gonna have to be set by this defense. It's gonna have to be set by this defense. It's gonna have to be set by this defense. The defense is gonna have to be the one that set the tone for this offense to get to where they want to get to. It's not gonna be set by anybody but the defense.
You saw him out here? I mean, he punching the clock. You know, some people, they clocking to work, they just sit at the computer all day. But you know the little app you use where the mouse moves, it's not really doing shit on the computer? That's what you're doing out here.
I'm sorry if I'm me and the
I'm saying feel good.
Obviously, being out there with the team, it's just excitement of being out there healthy.
oh Lord. Me and this technical stuff, man, y'all bear with me. I don't know what I'm doing here. I got way off bad, but again, defense is gonna have to be a weapon here. Defense is gonna have to be a weapon here. I'm gonna put some of y'all comments up here. The ones I like. I like this. This was a fire comment, and I want and it shows. And a lot of y'all been putting fire comments. I don't want to say I'm just picking somebody out. We haven't had a physical defense in years. Listen, man. Let me tell you something. There's not a defense in this league where they said the defense is finesse. If finesse is there's nowhere in the, if you put a definition of defense, finesse is got no words in it. It got nothing to do with finesse. And last year was a finesse defense. We were finesse. So the first criteria is be physical and fast and talented. We gave a big play after big play. And I gave you my rules of why there's only 3 rules of why teams give up a lot of big plays. One, undisciplined in alignment or assignment. We talked about discipline. They've been talking about discipline in details every day. So they're gonna be lined up and they're gonna know their assignment. Either the defense is not, and number 2, either the defense is not physical enough. If you're not physical enough, guys get big plays because you can't tackle. Or number 3, you lack of athletes. Or number 4, you just ain't got no will. It's either one of those 4 things, or it's all 4 of them. If teams get big plays on. I think we're more athletic. I think we're gonna be better than alignment and assignment. I think we're gonna bring a better physicality. And just being together in the continuity thing, I ain't worried about that. Very good thing. 12-5 season. Somebody put in the chat. They think we're gonna have a 12-5 season. I like that. I'm just worried about winning the division first. I just want to tell you the people that's in this chat, the people that's coming, Mr. JC Cowboy with giving a super chat. Thank you so much, JC. Thank you for, man, I always supported these guys, man. JC Cowboy, listen, I want to say something about JC Cowboy here. I don't know if he's still in the chat. And I don't know, and it's probably all y'all in JC Cowboys that's like the JC Cowboys. If you're not, you're missing out on somebody that does great work, not just for the Cowboys, as for a football person. He puts a great, I wish I had the production skills that JC Cowboy had. I think I'll be off the chains if I could put them production skills together. It's hard for me to share a screen, but he does a great job of putting those production scenes together, and he gives a backstory on a lot of players. Great guy, man, and just for him giving me the platform, just like I always say this, man. And people think that I give up too much credit to a lot of people, man. But JC Cowboy, big time show. Boss Cowboy for especially. Boss Cowboy is the one that gave me my first opportunity to talk on the YouTube show with a cell phone by sending me the link, and I had everybody moving around like this. And I didn't know Coach Marv didn't know how to do the cell thing, to do the link thing. He gave me an opportunity, and then continue to give me an opportunity, and then continue to give me comments, even though I didn't even have a show, and put my name out there. And I'm forever grateful. Now, do we always agree with everything? No, we don't. But his commentary and the stuff he comes up with is from the heart. And he hits angles that we all talk about. All the other guys, Henry Sports, Landlord, all them guys different files me. I just say this, and this is not toot my horn. Every angle they're coming with is great, and it's great for Cowboy Nation. But you're gonna come back down the street to what the stuff Coach Marv talk about if we're gonna get to the next level. Yes, I want players, I like player acquisition and all that. But I can see what we got here. And I'm going on I said this on live stream last year. And I'm going on record to say this again. Izaraku is going to be a star in this league. Y'all talking about Max Cosby. You have a star in this league. In a 3-4. And I want y'all to remember what you're talking about. A 3-4 defense, not a 4-3. So, but I thank all the guys that came in. I hope a lot of these guys see this video. I went over my time that I always want to go. I wanted to stay within an hour and a half. I'm at 2 hours because I got excited because of the interviews, and I put a lot of other commentary. But listen, man, I'm passionate about what I do. Some of y'all say, well, Coach gets up there and talks and gives us this commentary that he has something written down. Nope. Never write down the script. This comes off my heart and what I've been knowing for a long time. And when it comes out that way, you ain't got to write no script. And I hope I can get the lessons from the guys like JC Cowboy and all that so I can learn how to, because it's right there in the film, it's right there in certain things that I can see, but I need to learn how to put it on tape so y'all can see. So what we can do is get receipts to what I'm saying. But some of the stuff I'm talking about, the intangible things, you can't see it. You'll be able to see it in their play. Cowboy Nation, I'm excited. But we got to wait. This culture is coming. We see it. But it got to stay in some heat. See, everything is good until it gets under the fire. When it gets under fire, can it get fire tested? Once it's fire tested, we all right. We're going to rock and roll. But we still got to find the imposters. Mr. Parker's looking for them. Shotty is looking for them. You got some players on this team that say they're all in. But you're going to find out everybody ain't ready to go where you want to go. As I said, defense is going to be a weapon. Defense is going to be a weapon. I want to tell y'all, thank y'all so much. All the people that came in. I hope y'all like and comment and subscribe. Please, thank you for JC for giving me the super chat. Please, if you want to support the channel, that super chat is going to be great, man, because we're trying to make sure that we get some more camera. We need another camera. We need some another microphone. We need some things. I got to get my studio room together. There's a lot of stuff, man, but I'm trying to take care of a relative as well as trying to live, man. There's a whole lot, but we thank you for just listening in and being supportive of Coach Marv. Remember, go out and support these other people, these other channels. They do a great job. They come with a lot of different ways, a lot of different angles. We may not all agree, but we always stand up there cheering when we win number 6. Mentality and where we go about our business is going to get us there, though. And I hope the players understand that, and I hope they're reading that from Schottenheimer. Money is not going to get us there. Hype ain't going to get us there. Work. WORK. As I always end my show, remember, nothing or no one can stop God's will. And I ain't talking about football when I say that. I'm not saying God's will is about the Cowboys, nothing. I'm talking about life. And having the discerning spirit to be discern all the fake and positive stuff going on. I tell you one thing. Go in your chats of your YouTube and stuff and put in the chat or into the search bar, feel good stories. And just go and click on a couple of them and change the algorithms of your chat line to start giving you feel good stories instead of gossip. One thing I hate about sports media in this YouTube land and in our Cowboys nations, we get away from football and we start going to gossip. Starting storylines. You're probably going to see Coach Marv get involved with that. I try to stay away from that. I also want to say there was an attack by somebody who attacked Law Nation. I give Boss Cowboy a lot of credit for starting me out, but Law Nation is his biggest platform. When I used to call him, he put my name up there, Coach Marv, and put me a silhouette and allowed me to express and communicate myself. Even Skywalker too. And I appreciate these guys because they told me a long time to get a show. I wish one day I could do a show with Law Nation. But I appreciate those guys, man. And for somebody to try to attack Law Nation, come on, man. What we doing? One of the most well stand-up guys I know. You don't have to agree with a person, but when you try to denigrate a person because of what you didn't agree with one thing that they did, that is an outright attack of hate. And how did we, as a Cowboy Nation, we gonna get somewhere when we infighting and hating on people for not something that they said to us, about an opinion about somebody else? Come on, man. I stand with Law Nation on that. And I ask him and keep doing the great work. A lot of people are not in the place where Law Nation is because a lot of people don't want to put that work in. One of the coaches of Mr. Chansberry used to say, everybody want to live in the Hamptons. When they sitting in the air conditioning, everybody say, I want to live in the Hamptons, sitting in the air conditioning, drinking Kool-Aid and eating steaks, sitting down at the table in the air conditioning. But when you got to get in that heat to work to get to the Hamptons, you have a lot of people fall off the bag. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Kid Cowboy. Appreciate coming in to that. So, like I said, man, let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing to get to number 6. As I always say, man, Cowboy players, Cowboys coaches. Get your mind on your work, baby. Peace.